Welcome to Book of Recaps. Today I will explain about Time. It is a 2013 romantic comedy movie directed by Richard Curtis. In the beginning of the film, we see 21-year-old Tim, who lives in a house by the sea in England, where his father James, who is a retired professor, lives with him. Mother Mary, Mary's brother Uncle Desmond, who is always lost, and a sister Catherine, whom he calls Kit Kat. Tim and his family live their lives happily and comfortably, where they go to the beach, enjoy, watch a new film every Friday, and have a New Year's party like every year, in which Tim never enjoys. Tim does not know how to get along with people, which Catherine knows, and that's why she doesn't like such parties. One day, Tim's father James wants to tell her something, which his father told him when he was 21 years old, which Tim may be surprised to hear. James says that this family has a talent in men, which he will find strange to hear. He has the ability to time travel and go into the past. He can only go into his past, in those moments that he has already lived, and in this way he can improve his future. Tim does not believe this, but then he tells him that in order to do this, he will have to go to a dark place and close his fist and think about the memory where he wants to go. Tim makes fun of this and jokingly decides to test this ability. And after time traveling, he goes on New Year's night and does what he had not done before. He comes back and talks to his father, who tells him that even Mary does not know about this. He tells him that he will have to time travel only to make his life better, and he should not time travel to get fame. Otherwise, he will never be happy in life and will remain alone forever like his grandfather and brother. Tim needed love in life, and he thinks of using this ability for love. And he gets this opportunity when Kit Kat's beautiful friend Charlotte comes to stay at his house for 2 months. While impressing her, whatever Tim does, he starts improving by time traveling. Tim was so lost in Charlotte that he did not even realize the time, and the topic of time travel was slipping out of his mind. When Charlotte was about to go back to her house, Tim stayed back till that day to tell her what was in his heart. When he goes to tell her this at night, she tells him that she was late in saying this. She should have told him this earlier so that they could spend time together. Hearing this, Tim decides to go back to his house and tells Charlotte that he loves her. And then Charlotte tells him to tell her this when it is the last night in Charlotte's house. This makes Tim understand that Charlotte never liked him, and no one's mind can be changed by time travel. And that's why he forgets his first love. Tim wants to become a lawyer, and that's why he prepares to go to London. And his uncle gives him some change and tells him to spend it wisely. In London, he stays at his father's friend Harry's house, who is a drama writer and is always angry. Harry welcomes Tim by scolding him, saying that he had a good idea in his mind, but because of Tim's arrival, that idea disappeared. Tim was happy with his job, and there was no shortage of girls around him, but only his colleague was written in his fate. One night, he goes to a restaurant with his friend Jay, where a miracle happens to him. There was a blind dating game going on, where Tim meets Mary in the dark and flirts with her. When she comes out, they see each other for the first time. Mary gives him her number, and they both start liking each other. Tim happily goes back home, and there he sees Harry, who is still angry. He tells him that today was the opening of his new drama, and everyone liked his play, but one actor forgot his lines, and everything was ruined. Seeing Harry sad, Tim thinks of helping him, and after traveling through time, he goes to Harry and goes to the actor who forgot his lines. He tells him that he should remember his lines, but in the end, he finds out that the actor who forgot his dialogues was someone else. He travels through time again and helps the actor. Because of Tim, Harry's play is a success. After this, when Tim goes to the same restaurant to call Mary, he realizes that because he traveled through time to help Harry, he could never meet Mary that evening. Harry was happy, but Tim was sad thinking about Mary. Then he remembers that Mary liked a model a lot, and that's why he goes to the models exhibition. After waiting for a long time, a lot of people come there to support Tim. Catherine also comes there, and after a while she sees Mary. But when he goes to talk to her, Mary can't recognize him. Afraid, Tim comes back to Catherine, but tries again, and Mary agrees to spend time with him. After spending time with Mary and her friend, he finds out that Mary has a boyfriend now, whose name is Rupert. Tim can't believe this, and after interrogating him, Tim goes to the party where Mary met Rupert and prepares to reach there before Rupert. He reaches the party on time. Seeing Mary alone, he goes to talk to her and takes her out of the party. They spend a lot of time together, and slowly Mary starts liking him. Mary now wants to spend more time with Tim, and that's why she asks him to walk her home. After that night, Tim and Mary start loving each other, and their relationship starts. They start living together, and after a few days, Mary's mother comes to meet them. But Mary hasn't told her yet that Tim and she live in the same house. She only knows that Tim is her boyfriend. After talking to Tim, both of them start liking Tim. One night, Tim sees Charlotte, and he goes to meet her. Charlotte introduces him to her friend, whom she calls her girlfriend, and Tim thinks that they are lesbians. But that was not the case. He spoils things so much that he decides in the past that he will never meet Charlotte. But when he goes out, Charlotte sees him, and they start talking to each other. She takes Tim to dinner and tells him that she likes Tim now, and he shouldn't have rejected Tim. She asks him to come to her house and invites him inside. But Tim refuses to come inside, and then he understands how much he loves Mary. He wakes up Mary and proposes to her. Mary agrees to marry him. Tim takes her to meet his family, and she gets along well with Tim's mother. She meets Catherine at home, who has come to stay there forever. That night, Tim tells her that Mary is pregnant and they are going to get married soon. On the wedding day, Mary decides to sing the same song, which is Tim and his father's favorite song. And they get married in the middle of the storm. For Tim's best man, all the people he asked to give a speech started giving bad speeches. And in the end, he travels back in time and asks his father to give a speech. He is not happy with his speech, and that's why he travels back in time and gives a better speech than before. Tim realizes that Catherine's heart is broken, but he can't do anything about it. Tim and Mary have a daughter, whose name they call Posy. They shift to a new house, and Tim doesn't even need to travel back in time. But on Posy's first birthday, things start changing. Everyone comes there, except Catherine. They get the news that Catherine met with an accident on her way home. After fighting with her ex-boyfriend, she drank a little alcohol and left in a fit of anger and met with an accident, and that's why she couldn't come home. After seeing Catherine in the hospital, Tim can't see her in pain and goes back in time and saves Catherine at the right time. Tim and Mary think about improving her life, and to help her, Tim tells her the truth about time travel. He takes her to New Year's Eve, and there he stops Catherine from meeting the boy who is going to ruin Catherine's life. He goes further back and asks Catherine to stay with his friend Jay. But when he happily returns to his house, he finds out that because of time travel, a son has taken his daughter's place, who is an unknown child to Tim. He talks to his father about this, who tells him that before the birth of the child, he won't be able to give birth to a girl again. And instead of a girl, a boy was born, because he traveled back in time to a time when his daughter wasn't even born. And unwillingly, taking a difficult decision, he goes back to the past and lets Catherine meet with an accident again, so that he can get his daughter back, with whom he spent time. Tim and Mary insist and tell Kit Kat that they should forget that boy and forget him and move on with their lives with Jay. And she agrees to this. Time passes, and Tim and Mary have another child. Sometime later, they find out that James has cancer. Tim wants to go back to the past and change this, but James says there are some things that can never be changed. James tells them that there is one more secret, which is very important, and only by doing this, Tim will be able to be happy with his abilities and live a better life. He will have to live every day of his life in 2 parts. In the first part of the day, he will have to live like a normal person, without time travel, and will have to face his problems and his work. And in the second part, after spending the whole day, he will have to travel time at night and spend the same day again. But this time, he will have to see the beauty of that day, which he did not see in the first time. Tim does this, and now every day, happily and in a better way, enjoying the beauty of his surroundings, and one day, he gets the news that James has passed away. Before his last rites, for the last time, to meet his father, Tim travels time. Those who know, Tim has come there after his death. They both spend time with each other, and Tim goes back. But one day, Mary tells him that she wants another child. This was a difficult decision for Tim, because if he has another child, then he will not be able to go to meet his father at the time before the birth of that child. This can change the future of that child. But he can't break Mary's heart either. And that's why he listens to her. Before having a child, Tim goes to meet his father for the last time and tells him that this is his last meeting. James then takes Tim with him, and they both, to relive their memories, and for the last time, they spend the whole day with each other. Tim now lives his life in the present and starts spending time with his family. Catherine also starts living happily with Jay and her child. And because of time traveling, Tim learns a very important lesson. He has now stopped time traveling, and now every day he lives like a part of his father's secret. He has understood that every day in life, everyone should give their best and not cut off life, but live it. Thank you for watching the video.